Good afternoon. My name is Joseph Lloyd and I source cars for people on a professional basis. Although most of the cars I source are between £1,000 and £5,000, very often I've been asked to show something a little bit cheaper on the channel, and so I came up with No Budget Reviews, the series where we look at cars that you can buy in good condition with an MOT for under £1,000 and you can enjoy driving. We don't film this in an expensive manner, we don't use separate microphones, we don't use dual head tripods, we don't even use a DSLR, but we do have a lot of fun. Sometimes it gets, a bit ridiculous with the amount of time between me being offered a car and actually being able to drive it. And sometimes it's the opposite. At very short notice, I am able to have a go in a car and the owner just hasn't had a chance to sort of make it all sort of ready for me and stuff. And so I do it as it is. And of course, on No Budget Reviews, we are very open to that sort of thing. This is a 2007 Volkswagen Golf Plus 1.4. I believe this is the Lunar model, it's called. My friend's had this for an awfully long time. I think it's about 4 years. And it's done over 150,000 miles. So please don't expect this car to be in perfect condition, because it isn't. But in terms of a very practical runaround, that actually it's been pretty good for her. And it's actually not been too bad. The Golf Plus actually was outsold by the standard Golf when this car was current by about 40 to 1. Extraordinary. So you just don't see these very much at all, really, comparatively speaking. Same underpinnings as the Golf Mark 5 and Mark 6. In fact, the facelift came out in 2009 and it looked a lot more like the 6. This looks more like the 5. A much more practical car though. Same engineering obviously as the Golf Mark 5, same engines and things like that. We have done a couple of Mark 5s on the channel before, but I can't tell you about those. There are one or two sort of rust areas in this car. I'm not going to go into them in sort of detail particularly. There's mainly the sort of arches actually on these that tend to go first. But if you want sort of replacement panels and things like that, well, there's lots and lots and lots of Volkswagen parts around. There's people who specialise in that sort of thing. So we'll open up the boot. Now, one of the reasons why you want a Golf Plus as opposed to a standard Golf is look at this. Look at all this space. We've actually got an adjustable height boot floor in this. I mean, I'm not going to be able to sort of do very much or even sit in the back, but you can actually fold the seats really flat. You can see they fold flat to a completely flat through loading, which is demonstrated by this. I'm afraid I'm not going to have a chance to take all that out and put it all back in again because I haven't got a lot of time today. But suffice it to say that the boot with the adjustable height boot floor down is over 500 litres, and a standard Golf I think it was about 330. So really practical, big opening if you want to get things in. Just open up the doors well. Look at the size of these doors. Huge doors to get whatever you need in. This case, trip to Ikea. As you can see, I can't put the seat back into my ideal position, which is why it's there and why I've been having a few clutch problems today. Nevertheless, I've actually got some nice fabric on here. That feels quite nicely damped. Little pocket down there. Yes, just absolute sheer practicality. And look at all these storage cubbies. There's actually 4 of them all the way along there. Isn't that crazy? So yeah, the Lunar Edition I think this is. So it's not the base model, that was the S. Other things like the SE didn't come with these really low power engines, 75 and 80 horsepower engines. Let's move out of the way of this car. Go past, there we go. So let's take a look inside, front of it. Masses and masses and masses of air vents. more air vents than you possibly ever need in your life. I think we've got 8 in total on this dash, which is crazy. Typical Volkswagen headlight switch has been around forever. I don't know what that position is. Is that automatic? Don't know. Answers in the comment section. You can adjust the brightness of the instrument panel, and there's the adjustment for the headlight leveling. Nice, very, very clear instruments. Fantastic. And sort of idiot-proof radio as well. There's big buttons on here. There's not even too many of them. There's obviously changed a bit. We might have a little look at that in a second. But let's just see if my secret mission documents will go in this glove box. Yeah, I mean, if I cleared that out, it probably would. Ooh, there's even a place there to put a pen and something else as well. Someone's really thought about the practicality of this car. Let's have a look at these. We got 1, 2, 3. So two people can have pairs of sunglasses, and then got a thing on the back here as well. It's just mad. It's almost like a Land Rover Freelander and the sort of things that you can get. Little hidey place for, I don't know, I mean, my phone might fit in there actually, although bigger phones may not. Nice standard handbrake. I like a nice standard handbrake. This is being a 1.4, we haven't got, you know, too many switches here, but these are rubberized. I mean, actually they feel okay. So does this. It's quite nice. I've seen worse Golf interiors than this, and this can look a lot worse, but considering this car's done 153,000 miles, I don't think it's done too badly. There we go, same kind of mirror switch, and electric window switch has been around forever as well. We've only got the 1.4, so we don't get leather on the steering wheel. That comes on something like a GT, and there's no controls or anything on here, but you know, what else do you need? If you're thinking really practically, then maybe that is all you need. Climatic on here, I think that means we've got air conditioning. My friends informed me it doesn't work particularly well, but it does work, which is good. Again, loads more storage. We've got a storage compartment here, storage compartment here. If I took that out, I'd have a lid. I think that's the cigarette lighter actually there. Another one down here. Massive door bins. You see all that stuff you can fit in there. Loads and loads of headroom as well. Loads of headroom, because this sort of recess just in the middle. There's absolutely loads of headroom. I could wear a top hat in here and still have room, which is good. Although this isn't ideal for me because my seat's a little bit too far forward because I can't put it back any further. It's still pretty comfortable in here. The seat's actually worn quite well because it's done 153,000 miles. Right, let's look at the dash when it's on and take a look. So there we go, viewers. There's the mileage. And just have it on, hopefully there's no copyright infringement coming through here. Radio 2, which just makes that off. There we go. As you can see, you can just select the radio stations here, which is good. So again, it's just all very simple to use. No big sort of problems. Another storage compartment on top of there. I wouldn't be surprised, viewers, if there are more hidden storage compartments in this car that I don't know about. In fact, I can see that you can maybe put stuff underneath that seat. Wow. It's impressive, isn't it? Right, let's take a look at the engine, shall we? There you go, viewers. This is the 1.4. No TSI or TFSI. There were TSI and TFSI versions of this engine available, of course, 1.4, but yeah, this is just the standard one. Has got a cam belt on it, so just make sure if you're buying one of these with the 80 horsepower 1.4 that's been changed in regular intervals. Also, like a lot of Volkswagen engines and many other engines, this does suffer from coil packs failing. And I've actually driven this car before with only 3 cylinders working because one of the coil packs had gone. It felt very underpowered and sort of misfiring, so it wasn't the best. Typical Volkswagen coolant reservoir, which dates back I think to the mid-1990s. I think that's still used on some of their cars today actually. So yes, spot apart really. But it's relatively kind of easy to get to stuff in this car. It's not so bad as some of the others because it's only a 1.4. Obviously, the engines go up to 2 litres in this, so You might get a slightly more cramped engine bay than this, but if you're going for the sort of low running costs and relatively good fuel economy, then this might be the engine for you, particularly as on the 122 brake horsepower 1.4 TFSI, those do have quite a few problems, so that might be one to avoid. Right, I think it's time to go for a drive, viewers. Well, let's have a go in this Golf Plus. One thing I can tell you straight away is how amazingly comfortable this car is. It's extremely comfortable, and you can just about thread it through very, very tight gaps and little city streets, as I've just done. All Volkswagens from this era just kind of feel really similar to drive, you know, Polos and Passats and Golfs, they all kind of feel quite similar. There's just a certain way to which they drive, and this is absolutely no exception. It's got the same engine in this as the Seat Ibiza that I did on Sensible Second-Hand Reviews back in November, belonging to one of my channel members actually had that. So it's a 1.4 with 80 horsepower. There's no way that you're going to be winning any speed contest in this car, but driving around town like this, it's absolutely fine. The only thing is, you might struggle on some sort of faster hills, depending on where you are and what you do. Visibility is really good actually in this car. It's much better than the standard Mark V Golf on which this car is based. And you know, especially we've got these boxes from Ikea in here. You see how short notice it has been that I've been offered this car for review. Other engines available were a 75 horsepower version of this engine, which was from launch up until I think 2006. And above that was a TFSI version of the engine. Sorry, no, FSI, not TFSI. An FSI version of this engine, which developed, I think it was about 90 horsepower. Then there were more engines, more 1.4s. There was a TFSI engine with 122 horsepower, and then two just TSI engines. One with 138 horsepower and another 160. Other petrols were a 1.6, 115 horsepower. That was replaced with a 122 brake horsepower TFSI 1.4. And the top of the range, I think in the GT, was a 2 litre with 150 horsepower. Very confusing engine range. And of course there were some diesels available, but as usual, due to controversial government legislation and many other factors, we don't talk about diesels on this channel. One of the things I'm noticing, because I can't put my seat back far enough due to all this Ikea stuff in here, is that the clutch is not appreciating my driving today. Do apologise for that, viewers. I apologise to my friend who's rented a car, because not really what she wants to hear, but I'm getting more used to it. Even so, it's quite a comfortable car, even if I'm not quite in the right position. The suspension feels very smooth actually in this, and the steering, which is electro-mechanical in this car, feels nice and light. Gearbox, despite this car's done 153,000 miles, it feels pretty good. Quite surprised actually that is the case. Right, I think we'll pull over somewhere and flip the camera around and we'll continue our drive. Right, pretty steep roads around here in this very charming Somerset seaside town. So the trim options available on a Golf Plus were quite complicated before the facelift. Actually, they weren't too bad, but after the facelift they became really quite simple. So SE, bear in mind with the S you didn't get the adjustable height boot floor, and you didn't get alloy wheels or air conditioning actually. Then yes, SE, then there was a Sport that has lowered suspension along with the next trim up, which was called the GT. The GT I think was only available in terms of petrols with the 2 litre 150 brake horsepower FSI engine. There are also a couple of other editions. This is a Luna, which is a special edition car, and there was the Dune, which I shouldn't really talk about because it has an engine that we don't normally discuss on this channel, but that was a bit like the sort of Fiesta Active version of the Fiesta. It sort of looked a bit more sort of off-road like, and that was called the Cross Golf, I think, at some particular areas. It was called that in some other countries rather than just the Golf Plus Dune. After the facelift in 2009 it was, not 2010, 2009, the range actually only had 2 petrols available. This 80 horsepower one, and then the 122 with the turbo. And the trims were just S and SE. I actually quite enjoyed driving this car. I don't know why, much more so than the other 2 that I drove that I can't talk about, which was I think at some point it was either 2020, 2021. I can't even remember, to be honest with you. It's a long time ago now. It might have been either one of those years. For a car that's done all this miles, it doesn't actually. It really feels okay. It feels pretty good, which I'm really pleasantly surprised about. Anyway, that's enough of me waffling on, which is what I do all the time anyway. Let's park up and draw some conclusions about the Volkswagen Golf Plus. Well, viewers, another short notice episode of No Budget Reviews. Should you consider a Golf Plus with your hard-earned budget up to £1,000? Well, judging on the evidence of this one and the fact it's got quite high mileage on it, it might be worth considering. Obviously, they have the same issues generally, sort of mechanically and electrically, as the Mark V Golfs do. And you do have to watch for rust and just maybe avoid that 1.4 TFSI 122 horsepower engine. But you can find one of these that's you know, in decent condition and has been well looked after. It might be good just to sort of run around in it. The practicality of this car is absolutely astonishing. It's not quite a Ford C-Max or something like that, but I think this is quite an appealing package, and I don't know why they didn't sell more of these when they were new. They were only something like £1,500 more expensive than a standard Golf, but it's probably the same problem as they had with the Ford Fiesta and a Mark 6 and the Ford Fusion, that you know, it's a larger and maybe not as nice looking version of the standard car, so maybe that's what it is. Anyway, thank you ever so much indeed for watching this episode of No Budget Reviews. Thank you to my friend who's let me have a go in this car at quite short notice. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like this video, leave a comment below. If you wish to become a channel member, there is a big join button below this video. If you wish to support the channel on a monthly basis, please don't feel any obligation to do so. And we'll see you again soon for more inexpensive motoring.